Grow My Cleaning Company teaches owners of cleaning companies just like you how to grow your company, make more money, and finally take charge of your financial future and your life. This podcast is about automating and creating systems that give you time and money freedom so you can grow like crazy without losing control. Since this is totally free, if you're getting tons of value, want to support us and make sure that you get more of the good stuff, subscribe, rate, and review to this podcast today. Now, on to the show. Today, we are going to go back to something we talked about a month ago. We got so much good feedback. People really seem to want this. I think Jason Johnson even mentioned it yesterday to me about your cleaning company needing an operations manual. The problem you all run into is you feel like you need this big, fancy operations manual. You heard all the stories, that, hey, people buy franchises, and really what franchises are paying for is, their systems and their processes, which is all true. But you don't make one because you don't have the time to do it. You don't have the interest in doing it. You can just picture this 600-page, massive document. The time and effort and money to make it seems overwhelming, and you've got this scary feeling in the back of your gut that when you do make it, it'll end up on a shelf that nobody will ever look at, and it'll all been to waste. Which I hate to tell you, this is not where I go, oh no, it's worth it, do all the work. No, that's exactly what happens. I've spent time and money on operations manuals that nobody ever looked at and wasn't the kind of be all end all I'd hoped for. So just to make a clarification, we're going to start with, first and foremost, everybody thinks that these systems are what's working, and that is true, but they kind of distill down to, well, the operations manual that writes down those systems is the sum total of all the value, which is not true. So the big thing that we've got to talk about right off the bat is the balancing act between systems and core values, right? So what we really want to do, and this is how I cheated my own thing. Fabian's trying to hawk his own crap. Fabian, I'm sorry to tell you, buddy, but these are all owners of cleaning companies, so I'm pretty sure that they can check out your website, but I'm guessing they will not be your prospective customers. We are here to support each other, learn how to grow a company, not to advertise our own crap. I only advertised Jason because I love him, and I'm so proud of him doing his own live, and I'm hoping that you guys will get value out of how he does his live. You go, oh, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can do something, I'm much smarter and better looking than Jason. So if he can do a fantastic Facebook Live, I can certainly do a Facebook Live. So anyway, all that said, we want to make sure that we get the clear balance of core values working in tandem with systems. So systems ideally are, if this happens, then do that. This is how we do payroll. This is how we hire people. This is how we turn a stranger into a prospect into someone that reaches out and asks for my help, and someone that reached out for help into a customer. So there's lots and lots of systems that we're going to need. The two big ones are client attraction and employee attraction. We've got some foundational stuff, and we certainly want to have those not just on our head, right? Because if we have our systems on our head, that's called a secret. And if we share it with everybody else, that's called an operations manual. Because we want to make sure that we have we have core values working in tandem with systems and processes and operations manual. So where systems and operations manual end is there's never going to be an operations manual that will, you guys know as well as I do, owning cleaning companies for years, there's always a new challenge, right? As soon as we think we've seen it all, I've coached people that have been doing this for 40 plus years, and they're still going, I have never in my whole life dealt with this, right? So because of that never ending, I'm back. Glad to be back. I swear I didn't even touch anything. I'll keep my hands so you can see them.
I think we're having some internet connectivity issues today.
Yeah, which is weird because usually it goes slow or something weird happens. We had nothing. I was just talking in high def and then talking to myself in high def, and now I'm back. So anyway, the big point I want to make is, as good as operations manuals are, they need the foundation of the core values. So there's always going to be a situation or situations on a day-to-day basis that arrive, no matter how long you've been in business, no longer how good your operations manual is, that you've never dealt with before. And that's where the core values come into play. So all of my employees for the last 10, 15 years have always known our core values are have fun, make money, be real, and help out. And they always knew, as long as they could justify to me how they were making a decision that exemplified having fun, making money, being real, and helping out, they would never be in trouble, even if I disagreed with that decision. So I always want to start with a foundation of, if we don't have those core values in place, if I've got someone that isn't about having fun at work, they think that's stupid, they aren't real with me, and they're not transparent, they don't don't care about making money for me or for the company, and they're not interested in helping out, I can have all the systems and processes and operations manual and training, any system you can think of, I could have in place, and it's not going to do a dime's bit of good, right? So first, and maybe I should have done this on core values, but we're going to go right to the operations manual. But I just want to make sure that you guys know, without the core values as the foundation, the underpinning, none of this stuff's going to work, right? So let me give you some of the things that are holding you guys back, because I talk to you every day, from doing an operations manual, and then talk about what mindset we need to adopt to be able to not only make one, but have it actually integrate into our business. And then we'll talk about how to do it. So first and foremost, thinking it has to be perfect will stop you from doing anything at all. And that is not just for operations manual cleaning company owner friends, it is for everybody. So that means that you want to do a crappy version 1.0 and get it out there, right? Like I always say, you can't steer a parked car. So many of us, including myself, are perfectionists, and we don't want to put out garbage and we don't want to put out junk. But the problem is, we in our mind have this perfect thing, whether it's an operations manual or a hiring process or a client attraction process or whatever we have. Alan says, hey, good to see you, buddy. Glad you're here. But whatever we're trying to put, if we want to make it perfect before we put it out, it'll never be perfect. And even if it will be perfect, it will never be perfect the first time out of the chute. So the only way to do it, it's almost like when I started speaking, I hate getting up in front of a crowd of people and sounding stupid, but the only way to get in front of a crowd of people and sound good is to get up in front of a crowd of people and sound stupid. So there's no way around it. I don't know that anybody the first time on stage was awesome. You could prepare. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do to suck less. But the reality of the situation is, if you want to be good on stage, you have to be on stage and you have to be crappy at it. Same with stand-up comedy, and same with creating a business. So whatever you're going to do, you have to give yourself permission to suck, knowing that sucking is part of the process. And the faster and more rapidly you suck and revise, the faster you get better. But if you want to be awesome to start with whatever it is you're trying to do, you'll go nowhere. You will be trying to steer a parked car. So even if you're going in the wrong direction, at least you're moving, and then you can kind of turn around and see that you're off course. But if you're just standing still, you can't do anything. So first and foremost, don't worry about it having to be perfect, because then you'll never do anything. And even if you do all the work to make it so you think it's perfect, as soon as you put it into practice, they'll break it immediately, right? You'll realize it's no good, what's not right. So you might as well let them break the first terrible version as opposed to this perfect version that's never going to exist that you wait to break. All right. That said, if you do nothing, waiting for this perfect, set of systems to emerge, you won't do anything, and that will stop you from moving forward. And then, no systems. If you don't move forward and don't do this at all, you move into no system town, which means you do everything, right? And feel free to jump out in the chat if you're here. If you are in that position of, the system in my company is, when anything goes wrong or shuts down or has any problem whatsoever, they call me, or they text me, or they email me, or they Facebook message me, or they come to my house, or they do some combination of that. And I'm constantly putting on my Superman outfit, putting out fires here, there, and everywhere. If that's you, this is where you're at, and that's why you want an operations manual. All right, before we start moving into kind of the beliefs that you're going to need to adopt to get an effective operations manual, lovely Natalie, have you any thoughts, feedback? And Natalie's been my partner for over a decade now. She's seen a lot of the stuff, everything I've done wrong, and some of the things I've done right. So she's got great feedback and a different perspective of how to get this right and how to get it wrong. Talk to me, sister.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue, like you hit it right on the head, is where people just have like this problem with, like, well, if it's not right, it's going to create even more problems for me. So I've got this head trash around, if I create a system and I give it to my people, it's not going to work, and it's going to create more havoc in my company. And therefore it's just better for me to just do everything myself. And I've fallen into that trap myself. And I think, like you said, for the last 10 years, he's always been like, write everything that you do down, put it in a list, and then try to make it so that somebody other than you that doesn't know anything can do it. And like, the more you do that and the more you revise it and go through it, you suddenly realize, like, oh my gosh, not only is this helping me to create a system to give and offload my workload to somebody else, but it'll also help you identify problems with how you're wasting your time. Like, I've actually had to track what I do every day, and I realize that I actually do about 10 minutes of work, but then the rest of the 60 minute time block is just getting interrupted or doing wrong, going off and doing other things that aren't really bringing value to the company, and I'm just getting lost in rabbit trails. So not only will it help you to systematize your business for other people, but it'll certainly help you get clarity on what you're doing every day. Because I think all of us have sat down in front of our desk one day and worked, 4, 5, 6 hours, and then at the end we can't even identify what we've done, and we've wasted all this time. So I think that's a really valuable benefit to it, rather than just thinking of it as a common goal. It's going to help you in so many different ways and getting clarity on how you're spending your time, and really, creating a systematized way to be effective throughout the day.
Yeah, and that makes a good point. So many of us aren't able to manage our own time. So we say, well, we have too much to do, because just like Natalie said, maybe we sit down to do some work and then we don't do any work. And then we just all of a sudden, problem after problem come up, or interruption after interruption come up. And at the end of the day, we haven't got anything done. So it's easier for us to go, we'll just hire somebody to pay them to put out fires, right? Like if there's fires all over the city, maybe the answer isn't to hire more firefighters. It's to put in more sprinkler systems or find out what's starting these fires and cut it out. So you're absolutely right in that. You want to make sure that you're able to manage your own time. The biggest fallacy is, if I can't manage my own time and I'm a mess and I'm trying to do 30 things at once and failing, I'll hire 30 people to do one thing at once, and that will be successful. The problem is, if you can't manage your time, you most certainly cannot manage other people's time. TJ brought up a good point as it comes to the operation manuals. He says, I think one of the fears around operation manuals is the legality that can surround them. The concern of having to fire someone and having them try and sue you could be scary. Well, I'll give you the good news and the bad news. Tammy says, story of my life, rewriting the story now. Atta girl, Tammy. The good news and the bad news about the operations manual is, the bad news is anyone can sue you anytime anyway. So it doesn't make any difference, right? It's not like the wrong operations manual will get you sued and the right operations manual will keep you from getting sued. TJ could sue me right now for, ruining his life. Sorry, buddy. And I could counter sue him for, being married to a way better looking wife than he should be, which I think I would win, having known TJ and his wife. Just kidding, brother. Anyway, so the bad news is you can get sued anytime anyway. The good news is an operations manual, as long as you're following it, can actually help you from getting sued. So a lot of the weird suits are discrimination or whatever. But if you've got an operations manual, as long as you're following it to the best of your ability for everybody, right? It's not just, for Natalie, who I love, she gets this treatment and someone else gets another treatment. You're not going to really have that problem. Alan says, is that when a VA can be a virtual assistant, can be applied for time management? Not sure what you're asking, Alan. So TJ is suing me and laughing. So I don't know which I should pay attention to.
Well, I think what Alan's saying is, can you put this operation manual to a VA and have them start doing it? And I think that's the whole point, right? Is that you can line item out everything that they do, so that not only what are they doing every day and how they should do it, but how often or how long it should take. So if they're charging you per hour, you kind of have that.
Yeah. So the reality of everything that I've done that's worked, and I'm not saying you can't do it differently, but for me, I've had to do what I did when I was earlier in my career was anything I didn't like to do, I would hire someone and tell them to do it. But the problem is, if I'm the owner and I stand to make the most money, so say it's the accounting for the system, which I try to give to poor Natalie on our car dealership, which is we won't get into that now because it's a long, boring story. And makes Natalie hate me.
It does.
But so many of us find jobs that we hate and we go, well, I hate this job. I will delegate the things that I hate and I'll pay this other chump to do it. That's fine. That's great, right? We shouldn't be trying to do things that we're no good at and don't love. So I love that system. The problem is what they do is, hey, chump, here's some money. Do this thing that I couldn't figure out. You do it, and I'm going to get the heck out of here. Don't ask me any questions. Goodbye. And then, of course, that person fails miserably, right? Because you haven't given them a system to run on. So the reality is, you can delegate the jobs that you don't like to other people, but you've got to understand, you've got to give them a system to follow. So that's where the operations manual comes in. We do all the hard things. And just like Natalie said, when I'm forced to really understand the job that I'm doing and write it down and be specific as to what failure and success looks like, it is a crap ton of work. It is no fun. So whatever piece of her job or your job you hate doing, what the reality is, you can do it, which is a little bit of pain till the end of time with you doing it, or a lot of pain right now. And then I've really got to think this through and go, why is this solved? Why do I hate it? How would I do it right? How do I really put out this fire as opposed to, or for once and for all, as opposed to continue to put it out every time it pops up? So it is a lot more work today to create a system than in transition that system to somebody else to do it than it is just keep doing it. So there, you got three options. One, you can do it forever, which is what most people do, and that's why we end up working 20 hours a day and not getting paid anything. Two is we can find a chump, throw some money at them, and hope to heck that they can figure it out, which they won't. And that always comes back to bite you. Or three is the hard one, which I'm encouraging you to do, which is really write down exactly what it is that you're doing, how you do it. Because keep in mind, when people call you with a problem, you're not magical. Your mind is going through a linear decision-making process of, well, if this, then that. And you're asking and answering questions in your brain to try and figure this out. What we need to do is get the way that you do that on paper or on video so other people can use your thought processes. The good news is, again, if you've got strong core values, then you can just have them go, what is the most way for us to have fun, make money, be real, and help out in this circumstance? The good news is if Natalie shares that core value or TJ shares those core values, he's going to be able to make similar decision-making processes that is to me. So again, that's where the core values come in the foundation. But let's talk, since we're kind of deep in, and I want to make sure we hit the, we deliver as promised, how to make the operations manual. So the reality is, you don't need a big fancy operations manual that's 600 pages long and that covers everything that you do. What you want to do, because again, even if you have it, everyone's going to ignore it, and you can say, well, I'm going to make them sign off, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, people can sign anything they want. They're still going to do. What are you going to sue your employee for not doing page 319? First, they're not going to memorize it. Even if they could memorize it, they're going to do what they want if they don't have the same core value. So you've got to get off of this. If I just write everything down, it'll be great. What you do need is a system for how we do things. What I found is the easiest way to both create that system and absorb that system for your employees is not the written word, because it's just difficult, right? You got to write it, you got to print it, you got to hand it out. And if I'm here and I don't have it and it's too long and blah, 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 blah. The easier way is video. So the way that I would encourage, and I coach my folks who do operations manual, is many, as many as you need, short videos, 1 to 4 minutes, describing each and every task within your business. The reason you're going to do that is so much easier to edit, right? If I've got a hard operations manual, I've emailed it out or I've printed it out and I make one change, well, there's all these other videos or all these other operations manuals that I've already sent out there that are now wrong and obsolete. So how do I get those back? Especially if I've emailed them in PDF, they're out forever, right? Or if I printed it, how do I make them burn that, right? So there's that kind of not fun issue. And also if it's a 600-page thing and I want to change one little thing, I got to redo the whole 600-page manual. It's a pain in the neck. Instead, if I've got 50 videos, each covering a little specific thing, and again, you don't want one 27-hour video, which is really what one 600-page document is, right? Like no one's going to read it. It's too big to consume. And if and when you want to change it, it's impossible. So what you want to do instead is have lots of little things. So again, if you had to do paper, it would look like 50 or 60 checklists or outlines or sheets that people could refer to that distill down each of the processes. So if you have to do paper, do that. The best of both worlds is do the videos with the paper backups. Like, hey, use your checklist. So there might be 3 or 4 things you're going to have on paper, like checklists for cleaning is a perfect example, or checklists for paperwork to hire somebody, right? So the right answer is, as opposed to a big monster thing that's hard, almost impossible to change and hard to create, the real answer is we want to have a very strong set of core values that is a foundation for everything. And all the operations manual is, or in this idea or this universe that I'm coaching, encouraging you on, this set of videos that is your systems kind of out there for the world, is really just how to implement those core values in specific scenarios. So even when I'm talking about how we clean something, it's 80% core values, 20% cleaning. Even when we're talking about how we get clients, it's 80% core values, 20% cleaning. Or 20% how to get clients. So everything we want to do always relates back to the core values. So we're really just teaching people, here are how you use the core values to make a decision in all these different scenarios that you work in. That's really it. Natalie, you look like you're itching to say something, and generally you have better stuff to say than me. So what you got, sister?
No, I think what you're saying in a really long way and kind of in a shorter way would just be
what you're saying in a really long way, sad but true. Why don't you say it in a short, interesting way, as is your custom?
When it comes to writing down systems and processes, there's really no way to write for every contingency, right? Like you can't just say, in this situation, do this, and in that situation, do this, because there's a million different opportunities for situations to arise, and you're going to have this massive book of all the different possibilities that could come up. But what you're saying is you're setting up a framework. So this is how you respond to this situation. And then for all the little variables in there, that's where core values come into play. So this is the general idea of how we want you to handle these things. But then within that, all the different ways that you could possibly go about it, or all the small little like nuances is what core values are going to allow them to solve, rather than having to write it out every single possibility, right?
Right. So the way that you're actually going to do this in your company is, first and foremost, make sure you've got your core values and you're running your company by that. So everyone wants to start with operations manual, but again, operation manual without core values, almost worthless. So start with your core values and start running your company with your core values. So when everyone comes to you with all these fires, you answer them with core values. Oh my gosh, I'm at Mr. Johnson's house and the door's locked. What do I do? Well, how do we most have fun, make money, be real, and help out in this circumstance? And ask them those questions. Hey, I don't like working with Susie. She's a pain in the neck. She's always late and I clean faster than her. And I'm just making up junk that I know you guys deal with. All right, well, what's the most fun way to deal with the situation? How do we be real with Susie? How do we make money together as a team? Right. So we're always, if we start, instead of solving their problem for them when they come, we start teaching them how to solve it themselves by using this core values, we're good to go. Once that's foundation is kind of laid, now we can start making these videos, or these, kind of videotaping or putting out there for the world your systems. And then we can go, what's the most, first of all, you go, did you, like my least, the kind of snarkiest answer you can get when someone asks you a question is like, well, what did Google say? Right? Like, did you do anything? Did you take any effort on this at all? So if you want to be snarky, your Google is going to be all the videos that you make. Well, what the video that we made specifically on that say, right? So now you've got two things you can go to, is walk them through the core values, and you can also send them to the video. The good news is, if you stop answering the questions and spoon feeding them the answers and just push them to the right resource, they'll stop coming to you and they'll just start thinking through their core values on their own, or going to the videos on their own, and you'll be able to go do other things, as opposed to, Bradley says, one thing I've been trying to get my employees to do, if you have a problem, come to me with the ideas for a solution, then I'm going to pick the best out of 3. So I'm so glad that you're transparent and shared that with me, Bradley. The problem with that is you're teaching your employees to come to you, which is good if you want to feel good and have your employees always need you. It is bad if you'd like to take a vacation, because now what happens is either you're on vacation solving all of their problems, or you're not on vacation, or you come back and they've turned the place into a parking lot because they don't know how to think on their own. So the beautiful thing, and you're so close, Bradley, is when they have a problem, instead of coming to you with 3 ideas for a solution, you want them to figure out how to, well, what's the most fun way to deal with this? How can we make money in this circumstance? How can we help other people out in this circumstance? How can we be real with one another? So instead of teaching them to come to you, which is great as long as you don't mind never taking a vacation or break, right? If there's a problem at 10 p.m. on a Sunday and you want to be sleeping at 10 p.m. on Sunday because you're old like me, this isn't going to work, right? So if you want to be available 24/7, God bless, have them come to you. But then even if that happened, what happens if you have 100 employees? Now there's going to be a queue of people because you can only answer so many questions at a time. So it's not scalable and it's not super fun. So you're really close, Bradley. You want to give them a way to make their own decisions. That way just shouldn't involve you, unless, again, you want to be working 24/7 and cap your growth at however many people, how many fires you can put out person to person. So again, step 1 is to get the core values that everything's built on. Step 2 is to create videos for every single thing. So if you want an action item here, the thing that I'd give you to do is kind of create the systems that you need. And I'll give you the systems that we, Bradley says, true, good point. Thanks, man. A lot of people get all pissy and cranky, but I appreciate Bradley for being coachable, man. That's good for you. So you're going to want to start making buckets for these videos to go in. I'll tell you, we do the clean profit method. I'll tell you about that in a second, where we break it into 3 foundational things, or 3 big chunks: the foundation, the client attraction, and the employee attraction. So maybe you can have those 3 buckets and just pick out the 3 or 4 things that you want to systematize first in those areas, right? So now you've got kind of a list of the videos that you're going to make, and then start making them with your employees. So that's the way I would go about it. Start with the core values, and then kind of make an outline of all the videos that you need to systematize, and then start making it with your employees. It should be fun. And here's the beautiful thing about videos: if they suck, you just do nothing, right? That's it. We did a video, it was terrible, and that's the end of that. If it's awesome, you put it up on YouTube, you share it with your employees. I even share it outwardly, right? I like my customers and vendors and the whole community to be able to see how we're doing stuff. And I know it's like, oh, you can't share your secret sauce. Well, that's the beauty of the core values, right? You guys, your system, you can't implement my systems without my core values. You can, but they're not going to get the same results. So that's the system to create your systems. I know we're kind of going real high level because we've only got a little bit of time here. If that's something that you would like my help with, and actually we walk people through those in a 9-week kind of systematized way to go from not having any of this crap in place to all of it in place, I am happy to sit down with you. jump on a call, dive into where your business is at, where you want it to be, what's working, what's not working, help you up with a plan to get you where you want to go. Natalie figured out how to do the chat. God bless you. www.growmycleaningcompany.com/talk for everybody that's on the podcast. growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. You can you can book a call for us to talk, and I will walk you through exactly how we implement these systems in your business. Bradley says, I guess what I'm trying to get them to do is think of a solution instead of immediately coming to me wondering what idea is going to be best. Absolutely freaking fantastic. And that is where and that's exactly what we're talking about, Bradley. I'm so glad the hashtag goals, says Tammy. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because again, once we train people how to solve their own problems, and now we've got two resources, right? One is, how do you have fun, make money, be real, and help out? And of course, is assuming you know your own goals or you know your own core values. And that's something I can help you with on our call, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. Once you've got those, that's the first way that you can give them. And that does not involve you, right? And the cool thing is, if we are unclear with the core values, you're going to constantly be frustrated at your people who are going to be doing things that seem insane to you because they violated one of your core values. But the problem is they have different core values, so it doesn't seem insane to them. And until you're able to communicate that effectively, they're always going to be frustrated with you flying off the handle at seemingly stupid things, and you're always going to be frustrated with them doing things that are stupid to you. Once we've got core values that we share with and we explain, now what's going to happen is they're going to go, oh, I'm not about having fun at work. That seems stupid. I just want to get my job done and go home. I certainly don't want to help out. I'm here for a paycheck and that's it. I'll do what I need to do. I don't want to be real. I will be real with my friends, but I don't want to be real with you people, blah, 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 blah. So instead of trying to bend people that don't share your core values into acting like they do, that is crazy, takes so much energy, you're going to hate it. All you do is find people that share those core values, and then when you start making systems around those core values, they're like, this is genius, this is exactly what I want. So it goes from a negative spiral of them constantly trying to convince you of their inherent intelligence and their core values being right, and you trying to convince them otherwise, which will never work, into you guys sharing the same thing and going, what's the best way how can we live in a way to most exemplify these core values? Alan says, do you have to make those videos every day? You don't have to do anything ever, buddy. That said, no, certainly this wouldn't be an everyday thing. It would be periodically. So as you're training someone, video it. So I would get in the habit of thinking about making videos every day. Miguel says it perfect. Love me or hate me, peace, right? If you love me, let's get this party started. We're going to get along great. If you hate me, that's okay. Let's just not have you in my universe or me in your universe, because we're just going to drive each other nuts. So yes, I guess the answer I'd give you, Alan, on do you have to make these every day? You don't have to do anything. I would certainly get in the habit of looking for opportunities every day. And the trick is, as long as you're living your core values, you don't want to be weird when the video goes on, right? I try to be the same guy on these Facebook Lives as I am on the podcast or when I'm speaking. Anytime you run into me, one of the greatest compliments I can get is, you're just like the guy in the video, just like when I do the calls, like growmycleaningcompany.com/talk, I was like, oh my gosh, you're just like you were on the podcast. Like, I expect something different. So same thing with the videos. When you're doing it right, you're just going to video you doing you. You're going to be living these core values, doing the things that you're supposed to be doing. And you're like, maybe I should video this, right? And again, if it sucks, there's no further action. If it's great, you just pop it on YouTube and incorporate it. So no, you don't have to do them every day, but you should want to do them every day. And you know you're doing it right when your employees are doing it on their own, right? They're like, hey, I just had a conversation with a customer that I thought was helpful and I recorded it. Can I put it up? That means you're on the right track. Natalie, we are running way out of time, but you look like you've got something to say. So you say what you want to say and we'll call this a day.
Great. Okay. With regards to what you should be videoing, if you find yourself answering the same question over and over and over again, if you keep having the same problem and they keep asking you, that is a great indication that you need to make a video of that. So I would probably start with the core stuff that you need to do, like, onboarding, cleaning, basic general stuff that everybody needs to know. But then kind of like an FAQ, you keep getting that question up, then you need to make a video about it so that you can stop making that call and having to solve that problem over and over again.
That's a great point. Anything you're doing that you don't like to do would be a good indicator to make a video so someone else could do it. And that video can't be, hey, Natalie, I hate doing this. Figure it out. That might be fine if I pay her a ton of money, but generally it needs to be a much more specific thing. All right. Really good session today. Really enjoyed having you guys on. Excellent interaction. You guys are the best. Love getting to hang out with you. We'll be back on Tuesday. Thanks for everyone. Thanks for tuning in to today's show. If you're fired up, ready to grow, and want to see if you have what it takes to work with us at Grow My Cleaning Company, here's what I want you to do right now. Go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. That's growmycleaningcompany.com/talk to book an appointment to speak with me personally. I'm going to jump on the phone with you to get you crystal clear on where you are now, where you want to be, and how to get you there. Don't walk around in the dark any longer. If you are serious about growing your cleaning company, it's time to finally get the systems in place that you need to grow. We've helped hundreds of owners of cleaning companies not only grow their business and their personal freedom, but give back to their community as well. If that's what you're looking for, head over to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk and book a time to talk with me personally. I can't wait to get to know you and your business.